All right, so here are the solutions to the first slide using the x squared plus y squared equals r squared and the fact about what trig functions are positive and negative in the second quadrants. Check your work on those. All right, secondly, with the trig functions, if you have a TI Nspire, you can find any one of the 6 trig functions, the sine, cosine, tangent, and their reciprocals. I'm going to bring up the calculator in a minute, but for TI-84 or a non-graphing calculator, to evaluate these, cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent function. So that's exactly how we're going to plug it into the calculator. Cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine function. So that's what we'll plug in. Secant is the reciprocal of the cosine function. Then we have to switch our mode to radians. Cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine function again, and cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent function. So if we're dealing in degrees, we should at least know if these answers are going to be positive or negative. They're good checks to us. 20 degrees is quadrant 1, so this is going to be a positive answer. 200 degrees is quadrant 3. Sine is negative. 20 degrees, again, quadrant 1, so this will be positive as well. 340 degrees is quadrant 4, so this better be a positive answer. Now, radians are a little bit trickier, and just for time's sake, we'll depend on the calculator for that. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so I feel like a lot of you have either TI-84 or a graphing calculator. If not, you just have to be able to locate your probability function on your scientific calculator. All right, so up here, I can already see that I'm in degrees, but to get to degrees, you hit your mode function, and then notice here, radian degree. And to get down there, you just use your down arrow. If you're in radians, scroll over to degrees, hit enter. And then notice quit is in blue above mode, so second quit. All right, so first one was tangent of 20. So 0.36, and I'm not even sure what the direction said. Now for cotangent, we can do a couple things here. I can do 1 divided by, now I see in blue above my negative sign answer. It uses the answer from the top, the previous line. I could do 1 divided by tangent of 20. I verify I get the same answer. Or, depending on the model, you can use your up arrows to get to your previous answer. So I could scroll up to that decimal 0.36, and then when I take the reciprocal of that answer, I get the exact same thing. All right, so that's tan of 20 and cotan of 20. Cosecant, we said, was the reciprocal of sine. 1 divided by the sine of 200 degrees. Okay, so negative 2.923 or negative 2.924. Secant of 340, secant is a reciprocal of the cosine, so 1 divided by the cosine of 340 degrees. We said that one better be positive because it was in the 4th quadrant. All right, so now I have to go back and change my mode to radians. So here I am, mode. I got to come down. Make sure you hit enter and radians is highlighted. Second, quit. And then cosecant's the reciprocal of sine, so 1 divided by the sine of 4 radians. So negative 1.32, and then cotangent 1 divided by the tangent of negative 1. Make sure you're hitting your negative and not your minus sign. Okay, so my value would be negative 0.642. So if I did 1 divided by, and let me delete that, I'm not going to clear it, tan, and I put the minus sign for negative, error, syntax error. All right, if I hit go to, notice how it's blinking on top of the minus sign. When I change that to a negative, now I'm able to get my answer. I was a little bit lazy in not ending the parenthesis after the angle measure. As for good habit, you want to make sure you're ending the parenthesis after you input the angle measure. All right, let me do one more example for you. All right, cosecant is given as negative 17 over 15, and your angle measure is between negative 90 degrees and 0 degrees. Find the values of the other 5 trig functions. So let's sort of decipher all the information that's given to us. Cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine function. So I have my radius over my y value, okay? And I'm just going to rearrange the fraction so that my radius, we say, is always positive. Now, the negative, remember, the negative can be in the numerator, it can be in the denominator, or it can be out front, and it makes the whole fraction negative. So even though here it's written in the numerator, we know that our radius can't be negative. All right, secondly, where's my quadrant? Here's 0 degrees. Well, where's negative 90 degrees? If I were to rotate in the clockwise direction 90 degrees, it would put me down at 270. Now, your angle measure always has to increase. So if I'm increasing from negative 90 degrees to 0 degrees, what quadrant am I in? I'm in Q4. It verifies that the sign is negative, and furthermore, was my ordered pairs are positive, negative. My cosine is going to be positive. And so too will my secant function, because my secant's the reciprocal of my cosine. All right, I'm going to delete these so I can... And then this problem will also help you if you were not able to do the first slide, okay? So I have x squared plus y squared equals r squared. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. All right, so x is what I'm looking for, y negative 15 squared, and my radius is 17 squared. Okay, so manipulating this on my calculator, pause the screen, get an answer for me. Okay, so I got x squared is equal to positive 64. So now x, when I take the square root, I could be positive or negative. But because I'm in quadrant 4, my x-coordinate has to be my positive value, okay, because I'm in Q4. All right, so let's go with what we know. If cosecant was given, then I automatically know the sine is its reciprocal, so negative 15 over 17. My cosine function is my x-coordinate over my radius. Again, why did we have to pick x to be positive 8? Because my angle measure was in the 4th quadrant. If cosine is 8 over 17, then the reciprocal of cosine, the secant function, is 17 over 8. My tangent function, tangent is y. My y coordinate is negative 15 over my x coordinate is positive 8. And then my cotangent function is its reciprocal. So negative 8 over 15. So if you know one trig ratio, you have the means to find the other 5. All right, now you should be good with the homework.